The Beverly Hillbillies estate in Bel Air set a record when it sold a few years ago for $150 million. Jeff Bezos set another record in California when he dropped $165 million on his Beverly Hills home. Mark Andreessen upped the ante even more when he spent $177 million on his house in Malibu. And honorable mention goes to The One. It didn't necessarily set any records, but still a very impressive LA area sale that went for $141 million bucks last year. These price points are all tough to wrap your head around. I mean, spending $100 million on a house is just unreal, but all of these previous records have officially been squashed by power couple Jay-Z and Beyonce. They just spent $200 million on their new house and they paid cash. $200 million. Just let that sink in for a second. $200 million for a house. This story obviously has made headlines everywhere. Not only is it the most expensive home ever sold in California, but it's actually up there with the most expensive homes ever sold in the world. This was an off-market deal, so unfortunately there's not a ton of photos available of this house online, but I was able to dig up some plus the backstory. So today, let's talk about the most expensive home ever sold in California. Now, a $200 million purchase is unimaginable for 99.99% of the world, but after some long and successful careers, these two are worth a fortune. Jay-Z is worth about $2.5 billion as of the last report, with most of his money coming from his hip-hop career and his successful liquor business. Then Beyonce has got a crazy impressive resume herself. She's got a net worth of nearly $500 million alone, much of that coming from album sales and concert tours, but she's also made big money from movies, a streaming service, and a perfume line. It's interesting, you see a lot of these artists and actors and rock stars who seem to be just kind of needing to continue to perform for the rest of their life, even until they're really old and gray, and many of them never appear to achieve that ridiculous over-the-top wealth. But the way that some of these artists set themselves apart and end up on another level is almost always when they're taking on other business ventures outside of entertainment. And of course, it helps when they're investing in real estate as well, and Jay-Z and Beyonce have done plenty of that. We can check out some of their other real estate here in a second, but first let's just get into everything that we do know about this house that they just bought in Malibu. So I did dig up the address, but I don't really feel comfortable sharing it today, so I'll just say that this mansion is in the super high-end and exclusive Paradise Cove area. It's an area where a ton of other high-ticket homes have sold recently. And random fun fact, it's also an area that's not all that far from Scott Gillen's The Case Project, which we just talked about a few weeks back. Okay, so like I said earlier, we don't have a ton for photos, but we'll work with what we've got, starting with this drone shot from Anthony Barcelo. This is looking at the front of the house with the ocean behind it. From what I could tell from here, you enter the driveway down here at the bottom and you can either go right or left. I don't really see a garage, but I'm assuming if you go down this left drive, you'll go under this little concrete archway and the garage is back there, I think. You can see the house is broken up into two different sections. The main living space, I'm guessing, is over here on the left with the higher ceilings, and there's a little swimming pool behind it. And then over here to the right is probably like a guest house or maybe staff quarters, and it's also got a swimming pool in front of it. And this photo shows that I was definitely wrong about the garage. So if you go down this left drive and under that concrete archway, you're actually going to basically just end up in a big parking lot. It looks like if you want to get to the garage, you'll go around this corner and you actually go underneath this section here, and that probably takes you to, I'm guessing, a massive garage that sits underneath this lawn. Another thing I'm seeing from this angle too is that I bet you this section over here by where these big trucks are is actually the staff quarters, which means that maybe this section is actually like where the master bedroom is or something. Say that Pacific Pervious Concrete submitted this photo to dirt.com, so they must be the company who is responsible for all of this awesome concrete on these walls and this walkway, and then these kind of masses that go over the walkway and create these really cool shadows. Check out the dining room. Not much to it, super simple vibes throughout this whole house, but I love that dining room set. I love the concrete walls inside. The wood on the floor kind of warms things up a little bit, and then you've got the ocean right in front of you out of these windows. pretty sweet. This is another one of several swimming pools like we saw earlier. Obviously, I have no idea what's going on in this side of the house or this side of the house, but you guys can see that there's a theme here. They used a ton of concrete when building this place. Here's a photo by a company called Morley Concrete, so there must have been another concrete group who did some of the work around here. This looks like this is a shot from what we thought was maybe the guest house, because you can see there's that little cabana area that you can swim up to. And they finish it up with probably the coolest photo of this house, and one that tells a little bit of a story at least. So starting here on the left, we have that cabana area we were just looking at with a big swimming pool, and then behind all of those windows, again, hard telling what that is, but there's definitely some living space here. As we zoom in a little over here to the right, we have this huge staircase, and then a couple of levels here on the other side. It looks like probably 2 bedrooms there on the top, and then I'm guessing main living space on the bottom. Can't tell what's in this section, but it looks like a big red piece of art in there, and then over in this section, if I had to guess, I'd say that that's where the master bedroom's at. This house is super unique. The more I look at it, the more I'm just kind of intrigued by everything that's going on. It honestly doesn't seem like the most functional house, like at least from this view, it doesn't seem like it flows all that well, but it's definitely a work of art. Really cool lines in this architecture. I'd consider it a trophy property for sure. Reports say that this home is 30,000 square feet. It's sitting on 8 acres of land, and it was previously owned by a guy named William Bell. Fun fact about William Bell, in case you guys haven't heard of him, he's actually one of the biggest art collectors in the world. He reportedly had a $1 billion art collection inside this home that he just sold to Jay-Z and Beyonce. What? Bill Bell and his wife Maria bought this compound in 2003 for $14.5 million. They hired the award-winning architect Tadao Ando, and he collabed with Y Architects to pull this thing off. They spent the next 10 years building out the estate that sits there today. A description online says that Ando's architectural style is said to create a haiku effect, emphasizing nothingness and empty space to represent the beauty of simplicity. Just scrolling through the project section of his website, you can see that he really does have a specific style. It's very simple, it's very modern, lots of concrete and glass. Definitely a brutalist style of architecture where the focus is more on the materials and textures than anything else. Now, we just reviewed all of the main photos that are being featured online of this place, but I found just a few more. Check it out. Pharrell visited the house in 2019 and he took a couple pictures here. And then even farther back in 2015, Jeff Koons posted a photo inside not long after the house was finished being built. In that shot, not gonna lie, it definitely looks a little bit more like an art gallery than it does a house. TMZ says that Kurt Rappaport from Westside Agency represented both the buyers and the sellers on this deal. It's pretty crazy that Kurt got both sides of this deal. I mean, you know he cut him a deal on their commission, but even 2% of $200 million is a $4 million payday for Kurt. It shouldn't come as a surprise that this is not the first big buy for Jay-Z and Beyonce out in California. They picked up another mega mansion in Bel Air a couple of years ago for $88 million. This was also another off-market deal and one they got for way less than the $135 million that the seller was reportedly asking. The place is a monster. It's also got 30,000 square feet, just like their new house, and it's loaded with 4 pools, a movie theater. It even comes with bulletproof windows. And there is a room for Beyonce's massive shoe collection as well. Nice. I guess before this house, they lived in Malibu, right off of Pacific Coast Highway, and they were dropping $400,000 per month in rent to live there. They must have missed Malibu since they went back there and dropped $200 million on a house, and that's a lot of money, but hey, I guess at least they're not throwing away all that money in rent anymore. The reaction to this buy online was kind of mixed. Naturally, you have a lot of people who support Jay-Z and Beyonce and are happy for them, but then, of course, there's a bunch of haters as well, like there always are on the internet. In the comments section of one of these articles, Sue said, "I have no words. Actually, I have no good words." Jay Cash says, "Looks like a dump." Bon Will says, "Looks like a place to feel perfectly empty in." Sandy said, "The house looks like an airplane hangar." And Mastic8 says, "Home? A more apt description would be safety deposit box. Like I said, plenty of haters out there, although we are all entitled to our opinions. On the other hand, Jack says, works for me. I'm feeling this brutalist architecture. The ocean should be the star of the show, not the house. Sarita says, it's beautiful, elegant, all that green, then the ocean to look at. HJB says this place is drop dead gorgeous. And Virginia says, sometimes at the end of the day, creatives like to come home to a place without too much stimulation. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case here. The way that I look at it is somebody who buys a house like this, they're buying for the location, for the architect, because the house has the right floor plan, and most importantly, because they really like the house. Plus, it's their money. They spent their entire lives working for this fortune, so as far as I'm concerned, they can spend it however the heck they want. That's a wrap for this one. I can't wait to see what the next record-breaking deal will be in California. I'll see you next time.